people? Welcome once again to the Party of One podcast, the actual play RPG podcast where the gaming table is always set for two. I'm your host as always, Jeff Stormer, and this week on the show, I am joined by my good friend DeWayne Feenstra for a game of Central Directive. Central Directive is a game of psychological spy horror. It is about a secret agent who has been burned, betrayed by their organization, and is now at odds with two separate spy organizations, outgunned, outmanned. Agent 21 is given only one option: escape. It is a really, really cool game. I really enjoyed playing it. The mechanics are built on blackjack, which is extremely spy-like, but they're also asymmetrical and imbalanced, where the player playing Control, which is the spy organization, and the player playing Agent 21 have different rules that apply to them and different ways that they can win. It is like really well done, and it really creates this cohesive sense of spy horror that like I absolutely adore. I was really pleased with it. Go check it out. Check the show notes. More information about Central Directive. DeWayne is the producer and GM of Flight Risk, a Star Wars actual play podcast that is admittedly more Spaceballs than Star Wars and set in the world of the Old Republic to dodge all of that messy continuity stuff. There are no lightsabers, no blasters. It is a very fun show. It features a cameo by yours truly as a Danny DeVito-inspired galactic cab driver. It's a ton of fun. You should check it out. You can also find more information about Flight Risk in the show notes. Just a quick reminder before we dive in, a note to email me at partyofonepodcast@gmail.com, a receipt to your donation to a bail fund, mutual aid fund, or organization supporting the Black Lives Matter protests, and I will send you the official PDF of the Olive Garden LARP when you're here, your family, as well as a bunch of other games that I've published. They're yours, they are yours, it is your gift for supporting a good cause. Do that, take advantage of it. As I said, that is partyofonepodcast@gmail.com. And with that, let's go ahead and throw it over to me in the past so that he can get started with the show. Take it past me. Thanks, future me. This week, I am so excited to be sitting down with DeWayne Feenstra. DeWayne, thank you so much for coming on Party of One.
Thank you for having me. I've been listening to your show for a while, and I'm totally pumped to be here. I hope I don't make a fool of myself.
Oh, that makes me so happy. Thank you for that. That brightens my day. I'm really excited. I'm excited to have you on the show. I think this is going to be really fun.
Yeah, definitely.
So, real quick, before we dive in, though, why don't you take a moment and let the lovely listeners at home know about all the cool stuff that you've got going on that you might want them to know about?
Well, yeah, I am the GM and the producer for an actual play Star Wars game called Flight Risk. We've been going on for about a year and a half now. We've been playing for like 2 years. And we are set in the Old Republic, way back before the Skywalker nonsense hit Star Wars and all that kind of jazz. And I always describe our show as more Spaceballs than Star Wars, because I am a big fan of parody and just humor and that kind of ridiculous stuff. So I just love to throw crazy things in. We had an adventure where my characters had to go against the Ninja Turtles. We had 8 things just off the wall. I am a very big say yes GM. So my players say,
sure,
oh, this happens. I'm like, sure, let's make it work. So we are all over the place on our show. Being set in the Old Republic, I did make it an AU because I like to make things complicated. And I went Star Wars with no lightsabers and no blasters.
Okay,
so
I can dig that.
So yeah, so it's kind of, when I look back, I'm like, wow, I just really wanted to play Firefly, apparently. But
yeah, sure.
In the Star Wars universe, but we're slowly moving forward, and we are cherry picking cool events from Star Wars to go in there. We have a core 4 players that play. We tell 2 interlocking stories at the same time. So every other week is a different story, and each story kind of at the end connects to each other in a certain way. Sometimes it's like mildly. Last season was actually kind of a big crossover at the end. And so with the 4 players that I have, we have spots for guest stars on our show. So I always have one guest voice, or sometimes 2, depends on how everything gets shuffled, on each one. So we have pull people from other podcasts, from Coruscant's Nights, from Heroes of the Hiding Way, from Tales of the Broken Sun, or just people I just happen to know. I'm like, hey, do you want to play with us for a few sessions? They come in and they get a play, and it's been really fun introducing these people into the game who've never played it before, or in the situation like with Coruscant Nights and with Tales of the Broken Sun, guys who are GMs all the time who finally get to play again. So I kind of like doing that. So it brings in new voices all the time, new perspectives, and the game is just ridiculous and fun. We're on our 4th arc. I call them seasons. They're like 10 episodes each, and It's been really fun. Before this, I've never done an actual play podcast myself. I've never even GM'd a game in my life. I haven't played a role-playing game since I was like 12, and I'm 40 now. So I'm was really out of the loop on it. And it's been really fun just doing collaborative storytelling and pretending like I know the rules of the game.
Oh yeah, that's the magic of actual play, is pretending that we know what we're doing at any given point.
Oh yeah,
we were just talking about this off mic, but that's the magic of editing, baby.
Exactly. And my thing, that I've learned about GMing is that story beats rules every time.
Oh yeah, every time.
Yeah, if it's like, that's not how the rules work. I'm like, it doesn't matter. This is an awesome moment. It's gonna work this way.
Yeah, if it's a good moment, if it's the right moment for the story, I'm gonna just run with it every time. And I think the best games like facilitate that sort of thing and push you towards having that moment where you can just go, all right, this is it. Like this is what the story's been building to.
Exactly. Like it's Star Wars. We got space wizards, got physics that don't make sense half the time. So we're gonna bend it a little bit more. We're not gonna break anything. It's really pliable, I swear.
I love it. I love it so much. And speaking of flight risk, you got some great guest voices. You've got some great guest voice actors.
I do.
At least one that's a delight.
Yeah, that is actually one of the things that I'm really happy with this current season, our season 4, is that I'm introducing guest voices into it, because as a GM, I listen to like the James D'Amatos and all those guys out there who can do a million voices. And I'm like, God, I'm not that guy. I have like my voice and like Southern me. That's all I have. So
Fair.
To me, like, I don't mind. Like, I listen to tons of podcasts and the GMs just do regular voice, and that's cool. But I'm like, I really wanted to make it feel like there's an actual world that these people are in. So this season, I reached out to tons of people and say, hey, do you mind voicing NPCs? And I've gotten so much great response. People like, it makes it feel like, yeah, it's like an improv audio drama now. And it's so much fun.
It is, as one of those guest stars, it is a lot of fun. I mean, I get to play a Danny DeVito galactic cab driver. Like, what else do I want in this life or any life? You know what I mean? Like, what else can I aspire to?
I'm glad I could just check that thing off your bucket list for you there, Jeff.
That was it. That was an item that wasn't on my bucket list until it was presented, and then I realized that it had always been there.
See, those are the best items. The ones that was always there. You just didn't read the fine print.
It's true. Well, speaking of games that we're going to pretend to know how to play, this week we are playing Central Directive, a 2-player tabletop role-playing game of psychological horror, spies, and spycraft. We are going to be playing an agent on the run and the competing organizations that are trying to take that agent down. I feel like I'm ready to get into it. How are you feeling?
I'm excited. It's a very interesting concept of mixing role playing with blackjack. So I can't wait to see how this works out.
I'm pretty excited. So how this is going to start is we both have a blurb to read. We're each going to read our blurbs and answer some questions to set the scene. Then we'll take turns drawing cards as we kind of describe what happens. And from there, we're going to do some interesting things and build a sort of a tense horror movie scenario, or a tense sort of spy thriller scenario akin to, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy or The Coldest City or the Bourne franchise. I'm really excited about it. I'm feeling pretty hype.
Yeah, this is going to be awesome.
So you are going to be playing the Agent 21, and I'm going to be playing 2 competing organizations, Central and Control. So to start things off, we have, like I said, we have some blurbs to read, some choices to make. Why don't you read your blurb first?
After Central put me here under cover, the lines of communication went cold for months. There's no other explanation except that one of my contacts must have been captured or flipped by state security, and making contact would jeopardize the mission. I know the person waiting for me at the rendezvous point is not my contact, but I fear more that I'm now a loose end to 2 rival intelligence agencies.
I play both Central, who stationed you abroad, and Control, this country's intelligence agency who will capture, kill, or torture you to take the intelligence you hold. Central deployed you here and gave you instructions to extract a diplomat to follow up on a lead. You never knew Control has already placed... Okay, let me think this through. You never knew. Control has already placed a mole at the highest levels of Central, and you might never find out. Each round, we're going to draw and swap cards until we think our hand adds up to a higher value than our fellow player, our opponent. The round's winner decides how Agent 21 gets into a better or worse spot than before. The loser can say the game ends here or make the first move of the next round. So, we start out with a deck of cards in front of us. We're going to draw 2 cards each, traditional blackjack rules. And then we start out with a scene. So the scene, right now, I'm feeling like the scene is pretty blurry. I mean, we know that you were on your way to... meet with a rendezvous agent. So you were heading to a person to meet someone at a rendezvous point who is not your contact. So I'm going to, at any time, if the narrative is blurry, we can grab our virtual deck, for which we'll just say, I'm grabbing the deck, I'm pausing the story. We'll ask a question from a list of questions, and once you'll present some answers, or I will present answers, the other player will present answers. Once we have a sharp picture of the scene, we'll put the deck back down and we'll continue play.
Sounds good.
I'm going to grab it, and I'm going to say, what stands between you and escape?
What stands between Agent 21 and escape is that the person he was going to meet at this rendezvous point was one of his closest and most trusted handlers. And without this person, he is kind of lost and unsure of what to do. He's kind of relied on this person to do all the heavy thinking, where he's more of the action adventure type. Mm-hmm. And now without the brains of his operation, he is not 100% certain the best way. He's more of a puncher shooter. So he is definitely stepping outside of his normal realm of skills right now.
Okay. Which way is safety?
Safety would be to get to the... I would say probably because I always like spy thrillers with trains. I'd say probably to get to the train getting out of this country, that he's going to get on there, smuggle himself across the border, and hopefully make contact with someone he can trust outside of the country.
Okay. I like that. Then I actually feel like I have a pretty clear picture of the scene. I'm going to put the deck back down, so to speak, because I feel like we have a pretty clear picture of like a train platform. You know, you're meeting someone who's going to give you your train credentials, get you on the train, get you set up, except you know that person, the person that handles these logistics, is not who they say they are.
Yeah.
So I feel like I have a pretty clear picture. If you'd like to pick up the deck, or else we can start describing actions.
I'd say let's get this thing started. I'm ready.
Okay. So we're going to each take turns drawing cards. When we do that, we're going to sort of describe what we're doing and how our agents are positioning one another to outwit the other person. And then if we fall into one of the triggers, that each of us has a series of trigger moves of essentially like conditional actions. Each of us has a number of conditional actions that if the other person falls into it, we will explain what that conditional action is and then explain what happens. Does that make sense?
Yep. Sounds good.
Okay. Would you like to make the first move? You've arrived on the scene. The train station is busy as ever. It's one of these big, urban center train stations. I'm picturing kind of an old-fashioned train with like a conductor stepping off and waving a hat. Your contact, who is Red 13, is standing on the platform wearing a sort of maroon burgundy coat, or at least the person purporting to be Red 13 is standing there, is looking out at you, has not directly engaged you yet, but is clearly exactly where you were told that you would meet Red. What do you do?
Agent 21 is definitely I picture him as the James Bond stylish dressed. And when I say James Bond, I'm older, so my brain goes to Pierce Brosnan. Mm-hmm. So I'm imagining Pierce Brosnan in this role. Nice young Pierce Brosnan too. Mm-hmm. So he is
Remington Steele.
Oh, yeah, right. That Remington Steele to the first James Bond, that gap when he was peak Pierce Brosnan. That's where we're going.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So he is walking confidently through this. His eyes are going left to right, but his head is staying straight forward as he's trying to find anything that seems amiss. He's already knows that this is not his person, but he knows he has to play the game. He has his gun on his back. It is the safety's off. He's ready to go if possible. And he'll look around and make a mental note of any stairwells or anything that he has to go up or down, any people acting suspiciously. And yeah, I'm trying to figure out how these seem like I'm still in the fantasy flight games mode and how these games are supposed to work at the preliminary. So at what point do we draw? Do I just stop my scene and we draw? Or
I think once you describe your action, you can draw a card, and then I will describe my action next.
Sure. Okay. So he will walk and he's taking a look to make sure there's no one acting suspiciously, nobody with that classic holding up a newspaper in front of their face but staring right over it type stuff you see in the old spy movies. Mm-hmm. And he will approach Agent 13 in their burgundy on-brand coat.
I am going to pull a card additionally to say, go ahead and pull that card. Right. I'm going to pull a card to say, you are approaching and... like anybody else would, there's people that you don't see anybody like eyeing you over a newspaper, but you are a trained enough spy to decisively recognize that there are several people sitting here and, like watching you and trying to like monitor your movements. And I am going to reveal my hand.
Okay.
I'm going to put down my 3 cards. Because I have 21.
How does that happen?
That's pure luck. That is pure luck.
All right. So then I reveal my cards, right?
Yes, indeed.
All right. I thought I was good, but apparently, because I only have 20.
All right. Well, so I get to describe how you find yourself in a worse situation, and I think what it is you knew that Red was a fake. You knew that Red was a plant, but the situation as is Control wanted you to know that Red was a fake. You know what I mean? Like that was a very easy feint for you to have you go in thinking that you were going to confront 13. So really what has happened is 13 was there consciously to kind of draw you out because they knew that you would go in thinking you had a better plan.
Mm-hmm.
And the real plan is that every other single person in this building is a control agent. There's some 30-some control agents ready to go. John Wick fight music has started playing as you realize that you are completely surrounded.
Wow, jeez, okay. So...
okay, the winner answers these questions. How has Central advanced in its ongoing struggle against Control? How has Control advanced towards capturing Agent 21? And how has Agent 21 approached escape? How has Central advanced in its ongoing struggle? I think somewhere far away we don't see that, like, there are camera feeds being monitored, and Central is obtaining footage of all of these agents that have been congregated in one place. So we see clips of, like, every agent that starts to make a move, like, their picture comes up and they start getting referenced in databases, and okay. Central has just grabbed 30-some-odd names.
Okay.
Control face identification stuff.
Yeah. This was a huge intelligence grab for Central. However, Control has advanced towards capturing Agent 21 because, well, you're surrounded by 30-odd agents.
Okay.
And how has Agent 21 approached escape? I'm gonna go against the rules and ask you that. How have you positioned yourself to escape out of this very bad situation before we segue into the next round?
I think that Agent 21 would have positioned themselves so that, because this is an action movie and it's probably illogical, that as he's walking up, there is one of those big carts full of luggage being pushed or pulled down the way in like one of those carts or whatever. And he knows that he can dive behind that for coverage, and hopefully those bulletproof suitcases will give him coverage.
Okay. I love that. I love that a lot. Now, as the person that lost the scene, you can choose to, I'm assuming we're continuing the story.
Yeah, of course.
You can choose to shuffle these cards that we've drawn, these 6 cards, back into the deck, or you can discard them and set them off to the side.
Okay, so they either go back into our 52 or we continue forward with only 46?
Yeah.
Ooh, interesting. I say put them back in. It gives us more options.
We're going to put them back in. And we are going to shuffle this deck. And we're going to take turns drawing 1 card each. We started off by drawing 2 cards, but I think drawing 1 card is going to give us a little more time to play in the scene, so we'll go 1 card at a time.
Sure, okay.
The person that lost, you get to make the first move of the next round.
Okay, so I take 1 card?
Yes, indeed.
All right, and then, so as Agent 21 goes up to, was it Red 14 we were saying?
Red 13.
Red 13. Goes up to Red 13. He knows immediately that it is not the person he was expecting to see, and we get that kind of cool bullet time action where he's reaching behind his coat and starts to slowly pull out his guns. You hear them clicking from their holsters, and the camera just pulls away from him and does a slow 360 degree around the entire train station. And you just start seeing all these other people, the 30 some odd that we have out there, start pulling out their guns out of suitcases, out of baby carriages, out of sandwich wrappers, whatever they were carrying.
It is cartoonishly like every single object is actually a gun.
Exactly. Lunch boxes. We have to have the cliche guy with the violin case and the cello case that actually is a gun because it's desperado time.
Yep.
And he will take just a leap backwards to get behind that rolling cart to give him some coverage before the gunfire starts happening.
Yeah, perfect. I think that what happens next is you duck behind suitcases, like the gunfight starts, and it starts hot. And it is there's bullets flying in every which direction. None of them are hitting you. You're able to duck behind some suitcases for cover, but what you realize is that like it's almost too easy, right? Like there are guns flying in every direction, but you feel like they're not shooting to kill here. You feel like they are shooting to move you where they want.
Okay, interesting. All right. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. If you were
no, that's what I got. I drew my card, and it is your turn.
All right. So as this gunfire is going, Agent 21 will know that from the different angles he's at, he's like, I probably should have been hit once or twice by now. And it doesn't seem to be happening. And he is a seasoned weapons expert. He knows gunfire. That's his specialty. He's not the thinker. He's the shooter. So he's going to feel that the gunfire is definitely directing him towards getting on this train. And he is going to kick forward the cart with the suitcases at Agent 13, Red 13, fire as he jumps onto this train and shuffles onto this empty train, which should have been full of people. And he's starting to realize that he is definitely in a bad situation as this commuter train is dead empty.
Now, I believe that is one of your moves. Is when you believe that you are in when you believe that you are in a worse situation than it then has currently revealed itself.
I scroll too far. That would be stay suspicious.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, so Central and Control will both hold weaknesses against you. There are still a few redundant channels available to restore contact or to just reveal your location of your enemy. When your deductions tell you that there's some danger you're not seeing, tell Central to give you a card from their hand they choose. Okay, so we'll do that. Stay suspicious. So yes, I need one of your cards.
All right, I'm going to give you this card.
All right. And then I get to ask you, how does my dread gnaw away at me?
There's nobody on this train. which tells you, I mean, the dread gnaws away at you because that tells you this train was never going where you intended to go. I mean, and you had made, you had drop-off plans, like at this station just outside of the border, and now you're realizing this train is never going to get there. This train is going nowhere close. And with that, I am going to say the move is, I'm going to pull it and say my move is simply, you hear train doors opening and closing, the automatic doors from one side. You know that there was a conductor about 3 cars ahead of you, and you hear doors coming from ahead of you, but you also hear doors coming behind you, which tells you you know that possibly that's a conductor, or it's not, but definitely whoever's behind you is not a conductor.
Okay. So then we have this thing go bust. If I need to, because right now I'm looking at, I have over 21. So if I need to prevent a bust, you keep that card in your hand and discard the rest face up on the table so you both can count the cards. So I keep the card that pushed me over.
Yep. And
I put the other 2 there.
Okay. So a king and a 7 is on the board. You have busted. Which means that I
need to ask Central a question.
Yes.
Do I ask all of these questions or just one of them, I assume?
Let me take a look.
Because it says, and ask Central, and then it lists 4 questions, and that seems like a lot.
Where is that? Where is busting? There it is. Ask Central. You can ask Central ask me one of these questions.
Okay, so someone in Central is working against me. What triggers this sudden realization?
That you had actually made contact. Like you had made contact not with Central directly, but with one of your peers within Central. Codename 9 of Clubs. 9 of Clubs, like you had made contact with 9 of Clubs. Like you had made you made that contact. It was like an off-channel like meeting. Like it was very clandestine. It was not official channels because officially, like you're starting to realize, like you had already realized ages ago that the official directive was to they haven't formally disavowed you yet, but like to keep you to sort of just kind of let you spin a little bit. But like, so you made contact with one of your associates you made contact with 9 of Clubs, and 9 of Clubs like hooked you up with these, like with everything, and like made these plans for this rendezvous outside of the border with you, which tells you that contact was not, friends and associates working together. That was forcing you to get desperate to talk to someone off official channels so they could give you bad information.
I never trusted that 9 of Clubs. I never liked them. All right, so do we keep drawing cards because neither of us have?
We do, until one of us can reveal cards.
Okay.
Now, what is interesting here is I don't have a bust move, so I just keep drawing cards until I'm confident that I can outbeat you.
Okay. Do I have to have like 2 cards to actually play blackjack? Because right now I have 1.
No, you can have as many cards in front of you as you like, as long as you don't bust.
Oh, no, I was asking, like, can you reveal your cards if I only have 1? Do I have to have 2 cards?
No, I can ask you to reveal at any time.
Oh, okay, cool.
So, but I'm going to draw a card and say that the doors have gotten much, much closer to you. The doors have gotten much closer to you, and you are in a position like you are now they're now 1 car away in either direction, and ask you the question for your move. Do you take the chance that the conductor is coming in front of you and take on whoever's behind you? Do you rush the conductor who's in front of you, or do you stay put and figure out what happens next?
Agent 21 is a man of action, and he is going to move towards whatever the front of the train would be. I don't know if... Yeah. So he's like, if I'm going to be on a train, I might as well control it. So he's going to rush towards the front of the train, guns in hand, ready to just take out whoever is going to come through those doors.
Okay. With that, you're going to draw a card.
All right.
And I'm going to also draw a card and say, you rush it, and it was the conductor. There's also a pair of transit cops, like not like full cops, but like sort of like security guards, lack of a better way to put it, like city-funded security guards. They are with the conductor. There's a chance that these cops are like central agents. There's a chance that these cops are double agents who are here to frame you. There's also a chance that they are just a couple of underpaid city workers that are in the wrong place at the wrong time. And on the other third hand, they're cops and a cab. So like, who is to say? But there are two transit cops and a conductor like in front of you. What do you do?
Okay, so Agent 21, as the doors open and he sees the conductor and the two police officers, I know,
Yep.
or he knows right away that they're probably not the same level of trained agent that he is going to see, and he usually has no qualms of killing, enemy agents, but he's not certain if these guys are agents or just poor people in the wrong place at the wrong time. So as he rushes them, he's going to change his grip on his gun to flip it around so he's holding the barrel, and he's going to go and basically pistol whip these three people as he runs by them on his way to get up to the front of the train. So there's going to be definitely CCTV footage of a well-dressed, handsome man beating on three city workers on a train as he basically looks like he's robbing the train or something to the outside world. And I will draw a card.
I think you're wearing your heart on your sleeve here. I think you're playing to your humanity here. So I think I'm going to ask you to choose from your hand and give me one of your cards.
Okay.
Okay. This moment of weakness is used against you because you notice as you notice that like this whole thing has been aggressively filmed, right? Like you notice several bugs on the train car itself, kind of strategically placed to kind of maybe present the narrative that there were people on the train to sort of construct a false media narrative. Like, you notice that like you spy the bugs only too late, and you've realized that like you have given them the footage that you have given Control the footage they need to present you as the threat that they want you to be.
Okay. Okay, so Agent 21, after pummeling these three innocent people, sees that there are all these bugs and cameras, and he turns his guns and he goes to fire at one, and he hits it, and he turns and he turns and he turns, and he sees they're everywhere, that it'd be a waste of ammo to destroy all these. With a heavy sigh, he just knows that he is definitely being screwed over here and is trying to make his way to the front of the train. And as he's running, he's looking out the windows to see if there are any vehicles that are outside of it, because it has a very strong feeling that this train is not going to move if he wants it to. It seems very set up and controlled. So as he's running, he's looking to see if there is a utility truck, or if there is if we're overseas, if there's a Vespa, because that's what happens in Europe apparently, if there's anything outside that he can see.
Yep. I'm going to say before drawing card, there absolutely is. I'm going to say that you're able to run outside and get on the Vespa, which means it's time for an old-fashioned Vespa chase through the streets of Europe. Yeah, I think it is time for an old-fashioned Vespa chase, and I think we see that chase unfolding. There are several agents in obviously unmarked like tourist cars just tearing through streets. People are ducking and cover. You smash through a fruit cart. It is every James Bond car chase as it is unfolding, and I think
All right.
I think I'm gonna reveal my hand.
You have like
I think I'm gonna
17
reveal my
cards.
hand.
That's okay. All right, I'll put mine up top.
That is 22. That is 10, 11, 12, 22, 29. So unless you have 21.
I have 16.
Okay. I had 3 of the aces, so I felt confident that you had not hit 21. Okay. So you find yourself, I think that you have to swerve to avoid there's the 2 people in the pane of glass, right? Because if we're going iconic, we're going iconic. You have to jump off of the Vespa to avoid tearing through this glass and getting cut. Or you go through it and then lose control of the Vespa, because obviously we want the pane of glass to break,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
We need that pane of glass to
Why
break.
is it there if it's not there to break?
You go through it. Exactly. You tear through it on the Vespa. It shatters. The people have to jump out of the way, and you are now like the Vespa goes into a fountain, and you are now soaking wet in a fountain. You've been thrown off of your Vespa, and like four armed agents step out of one of these cars with shotguns, and they're coming towards you to take you out very close. Okay. And now I'm going to answer some questions to end the round. This is how has Central advanced its ongoing struggle against control? This is very public. This is very public, which is very beneficial to an agency. This is very beneficial to an agency trying to, expose enemy agents to have a big public firefight like this. Like these are names and associations that can be leveraged against Control. Control has once again advanced towards capturing Agent 21 because we've got shotguns and you're trapped in a fountain. And how have you approached escape?
Agent 21 has approached escape by, even though he has crashed through the glass and crashed into this fountain, that where he was driving was not an accident. He has gotten very, very close to one of his safe houses where he knows he has more weapons, more armor, or whatever you have in, spy safe houses. But he had a destination and he got close, but he's not 100% there yet.
Okay. I like that. Would you like to shuffle these cards back in the deck or leave them out?
Let's leave them out this time, just for the sake of variety.
Okay. I would maybe suggest that we shuffle them because 3 of the aces are on the board, and that going to make it much harder to get to 21.
Yeah, I know.
That
that's
threw
me
queen,
off too.
right.
The king and the queen have one symbol
was...
on them. I don't know why they did that.
Yeah, the correction. I have 2 aces on the board, not 3. All right, so there are still 2 aces in the deck. We're going to put aside all of these cards for the time being, and you're going to make your first move.
Agent 21 pulls himself up from the fountain, wipes the water away from his brow. He looks around and sees that there are a good half dozen,
I forget, it's Control? Are those the people trying to get me?
Okay, there's about a half dozen Control agents stepping out of unmarked SUVs, guns at the ready. He wipes the water away from his brow and, in pure Pierce Brosnan fashion, stops, adjusts his tie, adjusts his cufflinks, and takes a dive towards a cafe that is next to this fountain, flipping over a table, and he's going to get into a shootout right behind this very sturdy, small little cafe table and start shooting at these half dozen agents. He's aiming for their vehicles, trying to do the, hey, I shot your car so it blows up in action movie scene.
Oh, and I think the car, car lights up.
For some reason, they were carrying
the
18 gallons of kerosene in the back.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the car, it's classic action movie style. The car goes up. Everyone scrambles. The agent hits the ground. And for a brief moment, you've actually got a pretty clear picture of how to of a move you can make. You know, you are in a pretty good position to move for your safe house.
Okay. So, as the debris is flying around, the agents are on the ground. 21 kicks backwards as the table scuttles forward, and he makes a run, not into the cafe, but to one of the side's door that just says deliveries only from 9 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. And he doesn't open the door. He turns the knob, and the floor opens up, and he drops down into his safe room.
Okay. I think as you do that, you are in the safe room, and your being in the safe room, like a camera picks you up in the room and like registers it, and like you see like the lights flick on automatically. A little voice, you know, you're kind of scanned by a laser, and an automated voice just says, "Welcome, Agent 21. Safe house protocols initiated." And you see two black Jeeps pull out of the parking garage outside of underneath this safe house. The agents of Central and Control are working against each other at this point. They have the automated safe house protocols have been dispatched. The sort of permanent security detail in this safe house has been dispatched to basically go on a manhunt and clear out any control agents that might be pursuing the person inside this safe house. They clearly haven't taken you off of that automated registry list yet. And so when the agents of Control and Central compete against each other, we both draw a card from the deck.
Yeah.
So draw yourself another card. How are you distracted? I'm going to ask, how are you distracted by the threat at present, and what slips outside of your focus?
How he is distracted at this moment is that he realizes as he's in this control center and he sees all these computers with all this technology that he can access to maybe have him contact someone or reach out to someone who might be able to help him. He can't remember what his login is supposed to be. The company does this thing where you have to update your thing every 3 months to keep it fresh, and he had just done it the other day, and he can't remember what he changed it to. He does one of those weird alphanumeric things, so he's like, oh, was it threes or was it E's this time? And I don't remember. And what he doesn't notice is that the agent that had betrayed him, was it Nine of Spades? Nine of Clubs. The Nine of Clubs has gotten into the safe house through one of the other entrances or exits.
Okay.
So, and I pull another card, right?
I like that a lot. Yes, you do.
Okay, so before you start talking,
going to...
okay, so if I'm in a bust situation, does that happen before your turn or after your turn? Okay, so I am in a bust situation. So that means I need to throw the three cards that I had previously and keep only the one that I had. So get rid of that. Rid of that. I tell you, 21's such a small number. All right, so those are the three cards that I have. So then I pull up the bust rules again. Where'd they go? Go bust. Okay, so I put my cards on the table. I'm going to ask Central a question.
Those cards are the 5 of diamonds, the 9 of diamonds,
my question
and the 3
for Central
of spades.
is, who here is secretly an asset of Central? What do they want me to do? How do they make contact with me?
The doorbell rings, and it is maintenance. It's hello. This is maintenance. We hear that there is an issue with your plumbing. We're here to clean up the leak. And like it is exceedingly mundane and boring, and also obvious in a way that, like, also obviously coded in a way that would make a non-trained spy think that they're imagining things. So you hear that, and like you know that sometimes the best code is the obvious one. So you're able to quickly pick up on that, and you know that there is a central operative at the door, like to like basically like check in with you. What do you do before you draw a card?
Okay,
before either of us draw a card, what do you do here?
The evil agent is in there. The other guy is telling me there's someone at the door, right? Okay.
Yeah. The evil agent is in the
Okay,
building. 9 of clubs is in the building. They are a central agent that has set you up. There is someone at the door that is visible, that is audibly like not them, that is clearly conveying to you that they are also an agent of Central. And Central and Control are locked in a shootout somewhere in the street.
Agent 21 will go over to the control pad and just flip the switch to open the door to let this agent in, because he knows at this point he needs all the help he can get, and he's hoping this agent that's coming in is someone who's as skilled as he is and not one of those tech guys who's there to give him a special pin that's a laser or something.
It is not that. It is the person at the door. He is old, an old guy. Think like last generation's action star, right? Like a sort of like a James Brolin type, where it's kind of like very specifically like older and not the hot young action star, but is sort of being cast in a slightly different role now. Is at the door wearing like very convincing maintenance gear, walks in, kicks the door closed with a foot, drops his toolbox, hands you a very elaborate pistol, and says, here's what's going to happen. 9 of clubs is in the parking garage. We needed you to make contact with him to confirm our suspicions that 9 of clubs has been turned by control. So we need you, 21, to go into the parking garage and take him out. This should be pretty easy for someone with your particular skill set.
Agent 21 will take the gun and go, all of this just for 9? He's not even... I could have done this 2-3 weeks ago. I've been on the run for a month now almost, and all for... I am talking to the higher ups when this is all over, because this is shoddy work right here, gentlemen. And
now,
sure.
I have a question for you. Is 21 actually frustrated, or do you think there's something? Do you think that
21 definitely thinks this doesn't make any sense, because this is a lot of effort to set up 9 where he almost died twice, and there's got to be easier ways than this to set up 9. So
now you can choose whether or not to tell me to give you a card.
So yeah, I'll do the stay suspicious thing. Yeah, so I'll take one of your cards.
Okay. All right, I'm going to give you this card.
And then I ask Central, how does my dread gnaw away at me?
You don't know if you can trust this maintenance person. Like, you don't know if you're going to walk out of this room, if you're going to plug 9 of clubs, and they're going to be right behind you with a different gun to plug you first. You know what I mean? Like, it is entirely possible that, they are just going to wipe both of you off of the deck in one easy go. Okay. Yeah, I have one card. I think that, I think he is aggressively deadpanning your jokes, and it's like, yeah, well, that's bureaucracy for you. What are you going to do? You know, sometimes I'm certain that, frankly, candidly, between you and me, and he kind of starts to, unbutton the shirt just a little bit to get a little more comfortable in one of these horrible polyester short sleeve dress shirts. Between you and me, frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody just left you on an Asana to-do list. If you were just a check mark of, hey, we should get a hold of 21, and they just didn't. You know how it is. Frankly, it could have just been somebody's Monday morning error. You get it.
Okay.
Drawing a second card. Okay.
All right. So if I want to reveal my cards, and I have higher than you, and even though I'm over 21, it's okay, correct?
I believe so.
Okay,
I believe
so
if
if
you're
I want to
revealing
reveal
your
my
hand.
hand, then that's what I want to do. I think it.
Yep. All right. I have 13. Okay. Yeah, you're in control
Okay,
of the situation.
So let me go see what happens when I. Where does it go when I win? What am I supposed to do? Okay,
End of the round.
PDF viewer, where are you at? Go bust. Stay suspicious. Shuffle. End of the round. There we go. So, okay, so I answered these questions. So, since we were doing it kind of differently where I was answering the third question, do I answer the first two and let you do the third? Since we've been doing that? Okay. So,
sure, that sounds
question
good.
one, how has Central advanced its ongoing struggle against Control? Central has ferreted out a double agent, and this is something that's been pestering. They have been getting just messed up and crossed over by Control in all their operations. For some reason, Control has been a step ahead of them, and Central has figured out why, and they believe they've found the person of why they have been falling behind in this little arms race of theirs. How has Control advanced towards capturing Agent 21? They have...
Actually, why don't I answer this question and then you continue to answer Escape? Because this seems in the same way that, like, that's the question that I think most specifically benefits you. I think 2 is the question that most specifically benefits, like, what I'm going to do next.
Sounds good.
Does that work? Okay. Because I think how we've advanced towards capturing you is your worst fears are exactly correct. Not that Central is trying to take you off the board, but that this maintenance person is also a double agent, and that you 1,000% correctly gathered that that gut feeling of yours that you almost said to yourself, like, this can't be right, like this is just me being paranoid. Is 100% correct. You haven't. I don't know that you have figured that out yet, but it is 100% correct. So how has Agent 21 approached Escape?
Okay, so Agent 21, with this kind of dread, this uncomfortable feeling, not 100% trusting his situation, heads out to face Agent 9, and as he's going out, he notices that repair guy or whatever he was dressed as? The maintenance guy is kind of following behind him at a few steps back. And as he exits the door, he taps on the control pad and institutes a 24-hour unbreakable lockdown where this other agent is going to be stuck inside. And he's guaranteeing that this showdown against 9 is going to be mano-y-mano.
I love it. I love it a lot.
All right, so...
yeah. I think I'm going to call, since I'm the loser, I'm going to call that we are going to shuffle these back in the deck. And I think we're going to do one last scene. I would like to propose up front that this is our final showdown. This is you, 9 of clubs, and our maintenance man, all of whom are in a parking garage. Like, you have spotted 9 of clubs going to his car. The maintenance man is behind you. And I think that I want us both to pull a card because I think that they both pull guns on you. But given that 9 of clubs is a double agent and does not know who else in the organization is a double agent, I think they're shooting at each other. So we're both going to draw a card. Both sides are shooting at each other. I think they have started shooting it. I think they're both shooting at each other. As a gunfight unfolding, you are able to duck off to the side. What has slipped from your focus as this is happening?
What has slipped from my focus is that I don't know how bad I want to make this look. My first thought was that what slipped from my focus was that the gun he gave me wasn't loaded. Yeah. So,
100% that's what it is.
yeah. So yeah, definitely when he dives behind a car, he sees he has a great shot on Agent 9 and he goes to pull the trigger on this new gun he's got handed and he just hears click and he looks and there's no ammo in this gun.
Yep.
And he just sighs.
Yep. 100%. All right. So what do you do?
So you see, so we're in a parking garage. 9 and the maintenance guy are firing at each other. And since the maintenance guy is kind of older, he's going to be the easier target. So Agent 21 in this gunfire is going to run across the tops of some of these parked cars and just deliver like a flying like jump kick to this maintenance man's head. And in the collision, grab the gun as it flips through the air and slide to his knees, pointing the gun at 9.
I love it. Very, very good. I think 9 drops his gun and looks at you and like leans against a car, reaches into his pocket, like you almost pulled the trigger, pulls out a thing of cigarettes, pops one in his mouth, and it's just like, what are you gonna do here? What's like, you shoot me? What is it? Just all back to normal for you? Do you think the last month just doesn't happen? What's your game plan here, 21?
21 will keep the gun pointed at 9 and slowly start walking towards him and demand to know what is going on. How could you turn on us? You were one of the best of us. I wanted to be you when I grew up. And now you're telling me you're playing the other side? And he cocks his gun. Give me one good reason why I don't end you here, and I'll just make it up as I go, because that's apparently all I'm good at.
Yeah, draw your card. Do you want to reveal your hand, or do you want me to take my turn?
If I reveal, well, you have how many cards? 2? I have 3. I feel like giving you one more, that way it's even, then we can see who controls the story at the end. So yeah, give me one more scene, then we'll flip.
Okay. I think he kind of like smokes. He's like, why? Tell you why. Because they offered me a truckload of money. What? Why else? Why else is any of this? Here's where you're wrong, 21. You think that this is some big moral thing. Really, it's nothing but a bunch of mercenaries doing contract kills for money. They offered me a big money contract. I like having money and buying things. I swapped. Honestly, like, that you wanted to be me, that's more of an indictment on you. Kill me. See how what you put 3 in my chest and see if it changes a single thing about what is unfolding. See if they welcome you back in. And the maintenance man is like walking behind you now, and I'm just like, is walking behind you with like a gun aimed kind of at both of us, and I'm like, see what's gonna happen. See what your friend at Central is gonna do when you take out the double agent from Control. Go ahead, just see what unfolds.
Yeah, let's reveal our cards and see who. Let's see what happens at the end of the story. I'm gonna reveal my hand.
All right, you win.
So,
what? Tell me what happens.
Agent 21 has this gun trained on 9, and you just see him just staring, and the wheels are turning in his head, and he's starting to think maybe his entire life has been a lie, because he thought what he was doing was for some noble purpose, that he was fighting for honor for his country to keep the world safe. And his hero, his idol, is telling him that it's all a lie, that we're just thugs who shoot people for money. And he's just unsure of everything. and the repairman is getting ever closer. His gun starts to cock, and in a blink, 21 spins, shoots the repair guy through the head, and stands there as the body drops. 9 will start to smile come across his face and go, I knew you would see it my way. And as that last word leaves his mouth, 21 turns, shoots him just the same, drops his gun, and starts to walk out of the garage.
Excellent. Beautiful. Yeah, and that's game. That is game. That is a good ending to our story. I love that. That is great. Because then we have 20.
Oh yeah,
I love it. It's so much fun. Oh, thank you so much for coming on the show and playing this game.
I've never played a game like this before, and it's very, very quick, very easy to play. I could totally see this is something you could do in a quick pickup game when you're bored with your friend. Just grab a deck of cards and do this. It's kind of fun.
Oh yeah. Definitely. I loved it. I loved playing it. Like, I feel like we told a great story with it. I'm super, super happy. So, real quick, before we wrap up, where do people find you and your work online?
You go to Flight Risk Pod on Twitter. You'll get our Twitter account there. We update our show. We ask random questions to our listeners and stuff all the time. We're through Simplecast, and I want to say our address is flightriskpodcast.simplecast.com. If not, I'll have to make sure Jeff has the right link so it's in the show notes. Yeah, definitely.
You can find the link in the show notes.
Podcast, we're like the first thing that pops up, so that's where we are. We update every Thursday, 9 p.m. Pacific, which is midnight on the East Coast time. We have done 70 consecutive weeks of episodes coming out. We haven't missed a single one yet, so we are consistent with our story. So if you want a consistent, wacky Star Wars story, check us out, subscribe, and I'd love to hear what you guys think of our show.
DeWayne, thank you so much for coming on the show. This was so much fun. And for now, I'm going to throw it over to me in the future so that he can wrap up with the show.
Hi, future Jeff.
Take it, future me. Thanks, past me. And thanks again to DeWayne for coming on the show. That game was very, very good. That was a thrilling game. I really enjoyed it. Be sure to check the show notes for more information about Central Directive. Be sure to follow DeWayne on Twitter at DeWayne Feenstra. And be sure to follow Flight Risk on Twitter at FlightRiskPod. Then, while you're on Twitter, follow us at Party of One Pod. Like the show on Facebook at facebook.com/PartyOfOnePodcast. Join our Discord community at bit.ly/PartyOfOneDiscord. Head to our merch store at bit.ly/PartyOfOneMerch. If you enjoyed the show, consider leaving us a nice iTunes review, a social media shout-out, or a word-of-mouth recommendation to a friend. Those things all tangibly help the show achieve bigger, better, and cooler things, and I deeply appreciate it. And a quick side note, the best places to review the show are iTunes, Stitcher, and Podchaser. Any place that you can review a podcast is good, but those 3 places send a little email to my inbox, and that just brightens my afternoon. And the other way that you can support the show is by supporting the other podcast I produce every week, All My Fantasy Children, a character creation, storytelling, and world-building podcast powered by you that is on the One Shot Podcast Network and on All My Fantasy Children. My best friend Eric Catano says, and I take a listener-submitted prompt. We spit it into an original fantasy character, and we populate a shared universe one story at a time. New episodes drop every Friday-ish at oneshotpodcast.com. Party of One is produced and edited, as always, by Jeff Stormer and Jen Frank. All music for the show comes from the song Infinite Lives by Megaran, featuring the D&D Sluggers, and the Party of One logo is by Evan Rowland. If you'd like to inquire about advertising rates, coming on the show as a guest, or about press coverage of the show, you can email me at partyofonepodcast@gmail.com. And that is it. Until next time, thank you so much for listening. Remember to fight the forces of fascism every single day. Remember that self-love and self-care are radical and defiant acts of resistance, and as always, party on, everybody.